Hi, I'm Ash and I make vlogs about really random stuff, and in today's vlog we're going to talk about things I find weird about living in Melbourne as a Kiwi. So let's get into the video. As some of you may know, I moved from Christchurch, New Zealand to Melbourne, Victoria in Australia in January 2022, so I've been here for over 2 years now, and I've taken a little bit of a career break, or gap year that I'm now calling it, an extended career break where I'm focusing on my blog and content creation. And this is Benji, and I've got his bag of treats, so he's going to hang out with us today. Do you want to say hi, Benji Bear? Good boy. So we're just going to have to deal with him being here as well. We've got one of his toys that he picked out. Would you like a treat? Good boy. And yeah. So I wrote a blog post about this that got like 200 views. I was so stoked that it did. So I'd appreciate it if you checked that out as well. I'm not going to talk about everything that I posted in that blog, just a few things, and yeah. So because Benji's here, I'm just going to be reading off my phone. But yeah, I've kind of been keeping track of some of the weird stuff that is a bit more culture shock, and I know people think that New Zealand and Australia are like the same place. A lot of people have told me they can't actually distinguish between the accents, which I find quite interesting because I definitely can, and people definitely make fun of my accent. But please enjoy this video and let me know if you're a New Zealander living in Australia and if you can relate to any of these, or if you have your own ones. So the first thing that I find weird about living in Melbourne is that ice blocks are called icy poles, which kind of makes sense because it's ice on a pole, but I kind of prefer ice block because it's like a stick. The next one is that pineapple rings seem to be sweet here. So pineapple rings are like a canned pineapple, and they're deep fried with batter that you can get from a fish and chip shop. In New Zealand, they're always like really big and savory, like you could dip them in tomato sauce. But when I've ordered them at multiple fish and chip shops here, they've been very sweet. They've had like cinnamon and allspice in them, and you wouldn't dip that in tomato sauce sort of thing. And I did actually talk to Luke's parents about this one, and they said that you can get savory ones and that it's weird that I keep getting sweet ones. But yeah, I don't know, all the fish and chip shops that I've been to, it's just been sweet ones. Also, the lighting is, if I close the blinds, the lighting will be terrible if I turn on a light. So we're just going to deal with that shadow today. I do apologize if it's annoying, but I do like the light. It makes me look nice. The next one is specific to Melbourne, and that is hook turns. Now, I've never done one of these, and I remember when Mum came over and we were driving, and she was very confused, and I was like, it's a hook turn. So basically, Melbourne has hook turns because of the trams, and what they are is a car turning right will go to the left before he turns right, and there's a light to tell them when to go, but it just looks so out of place and confusing. Apparently there used to not be signs, so you had to know where to do the hook turns in the city. Speaking of cars, I also find that people driving in cars aren't as nice as they are in New Zealand. Like, people won't let you cross the road necessarily. They do in like rural Victoria, but not in the city because everyone's in a rush, I guess. Where are you going? Good boy. But yeah, some places I found like South Australia was a lot nicer for letting you cross the road, but not in Melbourne. I don't know if there's more road rage here or what, but it's an interesting one. I also find the humidity quite crazy. It gets really hot easily. I'm starting to acclimatize 2 years in, but yeah, I still get quite hot. I am feeling warm-ish today now that the sun's come out, but it's May and it's getting a lot colder. Like, we're getting like, it was about 6 degrees overnight, but that's good because it means it's astro season, so we'll probably do some photography. Another thing that I find weird is that everyone makes the absolute same joke about New Zealanders' accents. So if I say fish and chips, they're like, oh, fish and chips, bro. And it's every single person, and they think they're original, but I've heard it like 37 times that day. It's not so much anymore. It is very frustrating when people think Benji's name is Benji. It is Benji, like Benjamin. His name is just Benji, B-E-N-J-I. He doesn't really notice between how me and Luke say it, because I'm a Kiwi and he's Australian, but some people on the street get very confused. Like we were in the front yard once and someone was like, oh, like binging Netflix? And I'm like, no, with an E. And then I was like, I'm from New Zealand, and they just looked at me like, what on earth are you talking about? I find that oh, Benji just jumped down, excuse me. Okay, so Benji wanted to go sleep outside and then sleep in the kitchen, and now he's back in here. So I don't really know what he wanted to do. Maybe he just wanted some water. Anyway, I feel like I'm being kind of monotone and not showing enough emotion. People have said that to me before, but I feel like I'm definitely an emotional person. And yeah, because I get upset easily, and I'm going off on a tangent already. But the next thing that I find weird is that the public transport is really good. Now, the public transport in New Zealand is essentially non-existent. I think Auckland is pretty good, but Christchurch, all you have are buses, and they might come every half an hour. And they always get really, really packed. But here, there's trains, there's trams, there's buses, and people still complain, which, like, I get that it could be better, and you could have faster trains like Japan does. But for me, coming from somewhere that is just buses, it's amazing. Like, I can get anywhere that I need to on a train, basically. I also find it weird that you need to have a coin or a plastic coin for a trolley at a supermarket. Not all supermarkets, but it's just something that I don't think about because I've never had to do it before. And then Luke explained it to me and I was like, what? Because the trolleys are locked. Benji, what are you doing, honey? Come here. Sit. Good sitting. You don't have to wave. Apparently, some places will lock the trolleys instead of having a coin, but I think, don't quote me on this, I'm not 100% sure, I think in some places in New Zealand that you can actually take a trolley back and then get paid for it, or like something goes to charity or something like that. I also have no idea what a magic is. I've heard about it, but I've still never tried one. And I don't know if I ever will. I kind of want to, but every time we go to the coffee shop, it's not something I'm thinking about. I'm kind of thinking about what coffee I actually want to get. I also find it weird that bats live outside, and this is going to show my ignorance for a little bit. I thought bats only lived in caves, not out in trees, but it's pretty cool that they do live outside, and they probably do in parts of New Zealand. I've just never seen them. And I just always thought they just lived in caves for some reason. But I was walking home one night from a night out and I started hearing bats, and I legit thought it was a monster. I was so scared, and then someone politely explained to me that it was just a bat, and I was like, oh, they sound very scary. Yeah. Also, a $2 coin is smaller than a $1 coin. I feel like it should be the other way around, because I would associate more money or higher value with a bigger coin, like in New Zealand. Benji, come, what you doing? Benji's just gone under the bed. Benji, you want a treat, honey? You want a treat? Sit. Come on. Oh, here we go. Alright, are we still rolling? We are. Here you go. Good boy. I don't actually have a coin to show you. Luke might, but he's in the office today, so sorry about that. But yeah, basically the $2 coin is smaller than the $1 coin. And so every time I've been given a coin here, I get really confused. I also find that meat and dairy products don't taste as nice as the ones in New Zealand. And I find that the dairy here hurts my stomach way more than the dairy in New Zealand does. Like, I could have a flavoured chocolate milk in New Zealand and be fine, but I couldn't do that here. Good boy, Benji. Benji is now sitting nicely next to me. Yeah, you happy? Good boy. I also find some of the slang downright confusing because it's just stuff I've never heard before, and probably vice versa. I'll say things and people be like, what are you talking about? Also, you must enjoy AFL, especially if you live in Melbourne. There is no way around it. You have to pick a team. Another thing that I find weird about living in Melbourne is actually how much wildlife and nature is around Melbourne, especially even in the city, like at the gardens. There's so many birds, there's bats, all of that. I didn't expect to see foxes in suburbia, but I have, especially at night, which isn't good if you have dogs outside. But I do have a few favourite nature spots. I really like Plenty Gorge. I like the Woodlands Historical Park near the airport. What's another one? There's a bird sanctuary near Geelong. I think it's called Serendip. That's really cool. And there's heaps of other ones I can't think of right now. I also think it's funny that the Wop Wops are pronounced Whoop Whoops here. Or is it the other way around? Basically, it's not the same, and everyone laughs at me whenever I say it, but it is the same of like being in the middle of nowhere. And this one, I think, goes without saying, is Melbourne is very diverse and accepting of different cultures, all of that. But the rest of Australia is really racist, and it sucks so much. I wish it wasn't. And I'm also really sad for New Zealand and their Prime Minister at the moment, because it feels like everything is going backwards and you want things to progress and move forward, and I just wish the world was more equal. Another thing that I find more apparent, not necessarily weird, I don't know what Benji is up to right now, is that there are more pickup artists or incels or people just, it's more apparent that toxic masculinity is a thing here. And once I was walking with one of my friends by the river and we had a encounter with a pickup artist. I won't go into too much detail, but if you want to know about that, let me know in the comments. I also struggle to call a duvet a doona. Everyone calls it a doona here, but to me it's always been duvet. So sorry Luke, hope you deal with that. Once I gave someone a compliment on their jersey and they were like, what are you talking about? And I was like, oh, I mean jumper. So apparently jersey is an American thing, but I know a lot of Kiwis still say jersey when they mean jumper or hoodie. This one's funny. People get annoyed when they come to my house and it's colder than they expect, especially people from Australia, because they get cold easily, and I like being a bit colder than most people. Yeah. I have yet to find a good mince and cheese pie. A fun fact about a pie: when I first moved here, I was in Halls Gap with some cousins, and a bloody kookaburra stole a pie right out of my hand, so I don't really know if it was good, but I haven't found any spots that have like a mince and cheese pie. Like, I don't see them at bakeries very often or at all. I don't think I've ever seen one like steak and cheese, but I want that like mince and cheese pie. I really miss Darfield Bakery in New Zealand because it always had such good food, and I don't really know where the good bakeries are. There's lots of cafe spots, and there probably is a lot more bakeries in the city, but yeah, I just don't know where good ones are. So if you have any recommendations, please let me know. Obviously I know about Loon, I have been there. Another thing that I find weird is that possums aren't pests here. They're also very cute and small and relatively nice. I've also seen people carry their pet birds with them. Like, there was a guy in Essendon who would carry his crimson rosella with him. And Luke's mum's even seen him. And I've seen a woman take her pet cockatoo to Queen's Park in Moonee Ponds. I'm also terrified of the horror stories of the bar Revs, or club, whatever you want to call it, in Chapel Street. Apparently that place is very, very dodgy, so stay away. And here you have to pay for parking, and it's not like you can't pull a cheeky, oh, I'll just park 20 minutes away and walk. It's, if you park 20 minutes away, you're in a permit zone and you still can't park. I guess it's to encourage people to use public transport and not drive, but sometimes you really need to drive to a place. And yeah, you have to pay for parking, and it is so expensive, especially in the city. Another thing I find weird, but I actually think is a really good thing, is that it doesn't actually matter what you wear. You could wear something comfortable, you could wear something crazy, and no one bats an eye. Like, people walking in the city wear some cool clothes, and I wish I had the confidence to wear what they wear, but I just like to wear comfy clothes. So basically, it doesn't matter what you wear, just wear what you feel most comfortable in Melbourne. And I guess there's still a lot of black, but there's also a lot of colour as well. And someone has started mowing their lawn, so that's a bit annoying. But the next thing is, I still don't know what side of the road to catch the tram on. Sometimes it's literally the same side of the road, and I get so confused. You alright, Benji Bear? You want to say hi? He's looking very happy. Are you getting sleepy? Good boy, you stay there. Anyway, where was I? So another thing is, you can't buy alcohol at the supermarket. You can in New Zealand, and you will always get ID'd. Here, there's usually a bottle store next to the supermarket, unless it's Aldi, which you can buy. I don't know why they have a license. If anyone knows, let me know. But yeah, in like Coles or Woolies, you have to go next door to the bottle store. And I don't tend to get ID'd here, but when we went back to New Zealand, I still got ID'd, so I don't know what that's about. I find that petrol is so much cheaper here, especially when the other day Luke was like, oh no, it's over $2. And I was like, mate, it's probably like $3.40 a litre in New Zealand right now. I also find it weird how fast stuff comes with the courier or off Amazon. It's like almost instant, whereas in New Zealand you have to wait for ages. I remember I bought something off ASOS in New Zealand and it took nearly 6 months to come. Can you see a truck? And here it's like same week basically, or like just a couple of days, so that's pretty cool. I also find people aren't as empathetic, especially when I tell them that I'm from Christchurch. They'll be like, oh, so you lived through the earthquakes, or you didn't, did you? And I'm like, yeah, I did. I have been through earthquakes. Or they'll tell me about the ones here, and I'll be like, that's got nothing on the ones I've experienced. Not to say that it's not terrifying for them, because it probably is. But yeah, I just kind of wish people were a bit more empathetic and understanding when it came to things like that. I also would say that Vegemite is more popular here, but I would find that Marmite is more popular in New Zealand. I don't know whether that's to do with the colonial influence or if people are just more boring in New Zealand. I like both, but I feel like Marmite is a bit stronger. But yeah, if you're going to try it, if you've never had it before, don't eat it out of the container with a spoon, and make sure you get a piece of white toast, toast it, put some butter on it, and then get a thin spread, and then slowly increase how much you put on. That's the best way to try it, because it's a umami taste. You can also use them in spaghetti bologneses and things like that as well to get like a umami, mushroomy sort of feel to it. There are no dairies, and when you talk about dairies, people are like, oh, Milk Bar, 7-Eleven, that's what they are in Australia, but New Zealand still has dairies, like corner shops sort of thing, and they're so expensive. But they're fun because they're always open on days that supermarkets aren't open, and you always go and get like a $2 bag of lollies, get an ice cream on a summer's day. I really don't know how they survive in New Zealand, but they're still a thing. Especially in lower SES areas. The next one is that people say soft drink instead of fizzy drink. I've had to change what I say. Sometimes I would say soda, and when I say fizzy drink, people just look at me confused. So soft drink it is. Also, cafe culture is epic here. There are so many brunch spots. It's pretty cool, and I love brunch. I love making brunch food, I love eating brunch food, I love going to different cafes and having a foodie experience, and yeah, it's just a big thing here, whereas in New Zealand there's a few brunch spots but not heaps. And lastly, I would say this one's more of an excitement thing, but there are so many hidden bars and so many things to do. Like, you can never get bored in Melbourne. Yeah, like if you can't think of something to do, there will be something for you to do that you haven't done before. So that's pretty cool. Alright, and there you have it. All the things I find weird about living in Melbourne as a Kiwi / New Zealander. And yeah, let me know your thoughts and what you might find weird or different, or if you moved from New Zealand to Australia and what your sort of culture shock was. And I will end the video there because Benji is getting a little bit restless. But thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a huge thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more content. I'll be making more vlogs, lifestyle videos of Benji for you to enjoy, and if you want me to cover any topics, please let me know as well. Say bye, honey. Mwah. Good boy. Bye, I'm Ash.